Hello, welcome to another UTS Startups Confessions. Coming to you live in VR. For those watching in VR today, hello. We are here to talk about one of the fastest growing 2-month-old startups that I've seen in my life. So listen up, because this is fascinating. Marcus and Bobby, thank you very much for joining. In 30 seconds, what is Velio?
Velio is a tool that helps you find, manage, and organize inspiration that can help you create viral videos for YouTube.
Okay. So if you're a content creator, YouTube creator, you're able to kind of identify emerging things much better and kind of do what you do, but in ways that YouTube kind of likes a little bit better.
Yeah, so what I found, I've been on YouTube for context almost 10 years now. And what I found is that the number one predictor of a video doing well is the idea inherently within it. It's kind of like people talk about titles and thumbnails and all that kind of thing, but if you don't have an interesting concept or topic or format to actually create a video around, like if you're creating a video about like a day in a life and you don't really do anything interesting in that video, it doesn't matter how good my title or thumbnail is, like the video is not going to perform well. And so the goal of Velio is basically to try and help you identify those formats or those ideas that have been proven to work in the past that you can take inspiration from to grow your own videos.
Okay, cool. So why should people listen to you, and like what were you doing before Velio?
So for me, I've been on YouTube I was in marketing for like 4 years and was on YouTube for about 10 years, full-time YouTuber. And I used to do all of the stuff that kind of Velio does manually. And it would take me hours and hours and hours to do. And I'd have these huge Google Docs full of inspiration and video ideas and stuff. And I remember thinking there has to be a more organized way to do this because this is just a huge pain in the ass. And I decided to try and build something that would do that.
And as for me, I think Marcus brings the marketing background. For me, I probably bring the technical. So I've built a few tech startups before this, and we needed to get something off the ground pretty quickly. Probably launch within at least 2-3 months. So I think that's where my skills came to shine for this.
Okay, so we'll get to how quickly it's growing in a second, but let's talk us through that kind of building this out process. So going from doing something manually, doing it lots of times, to then creating a product that does that. How did you do that?
So I think from the functionality of the product aspect, I just looked at what is it that I'm actually doing that I see gets the best results, and then tried to build out something that reverse engineered that process. Because I think where a lot of tools, at least in the YouTube space, tend to fall down is the people have very strong engineering backgrounds and they go out to try and build something that seems cool and seems like it should make things work, but then often it doesn't. So I tried to approach it from like, what am I actually doing on a day-to-day that I feel is getting me the 80% of results for the 20% of the effort, and how can I automate that and make it really easy for other people to sort of do that with a couple of clicks of a button as opposed to hours of manually scrolling YouTube on incognito. I had no idea how to actually take that idea and do that, but that was where Bobby sort of came in.
Maybe explain that what that process is, on like what you were doing, how
Yeah.
were you getting videos before the tool?
Yeah, so before the tool, essentially what I really like to do in a nutshell, there's a couple of different methods, but this would be the main one, is you're essentially looking for videos posted by really small channels, so ideally like sub 50,000 subs, but if you can find channels with like a couple of hundred subscribers, that's great, who have posted videos that have gone on to get hundreds of thousands or millions of views. Because what that shows you is there's something inherently clicking with this audience. There's sort of content market fit with this format or idea, because the growth clearly isn't coming from this channel's subscriber base because they don't have one. And if you can then understand or deconstruct what that ethos is and apply that to your own video ideas, that's when you start to see a much higher hit rate and better results on your own videos, in my experience.
I want to ask some harder questions, because there'll be like YouTube creators watching this, and I know there's some in the room. Like, what makes those things go viral?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things because it depends on the space you're in. So, for example, if you're in like the gaming space, a sort of tried and true thing is like updates. So if a game's releasing a new update and you can get on top of that and sort of surf that trend or that wave of hype, then that's going to be likely to do well for you. On the other hand, there might be other spaces where there aren't sort of those big waves of hype. So for example, I do have a channel now about YouTube education, so teaching people how to grow on YouTube, and there aren't really many like huge major YouTube updates that all YouTube users get excited about and can rally behind. So in those cases, it's more about finding like inherently interesting evergreen ideas that you can post and that lots of people are just going to filter into. So I think that's where Velio is kind of interesting because there are so many different factors to look at that make up a viral video idea. With Velio, it's not about trying to educate you on what those factors are. It's about trying to find case studies of other videos that have done well in your niche or very similar niches to you, and then you can just deconstruct those specific case studies and figure out what made them work. Because if you try and get an understanding of like all the different factors that could make a YouTube video go viral, it's just so much information. Way easier to find something that has worked, reverse engineer. What is the ethos in this that made it work, and how can I apply this to my own content without, just completely essentially just remaking their video?
I think I might add to that, just to simplify it. So the issue with YouTube itself, as a creator, like when you go and look for videos, YouTube's algorithm is specifically tailored to viewers. So whatever you're viewing at the moment, they'll just show you that, and they'll show you more of that. And if you're a creator and you're trying to find videos outside of that or outside your niche, that becomes really hard. And also with YouTube, when you view videos, they only let you filter by like most viewed or like most relevant. So the trick is, how are you going through YouTube and only finding those ideas that are like outliers or just viral videos, rather than just seeing a Mr. Beast video that all of them blow up essentially. So Velio, we try and go to YouTube, we find the videos that went viral compared to previous data, and we put that in the one space. So now you can search over just viral ideas, and we filter out every video that didn't perform well.
Yeah, I remember seeing a stat around like career choices of young people, and obviously like YouTube creator has been #1 for like 5 years plus.
That's pretty wild, yeah.
But like, what should they know about what they're getting into? Like, it's one thing to have like a pointer towards here's something that went viral that's similar to the niche that you're in. What does that do for what they're able to do, and what kind of success rates and outcomes can they expect?
I think if we're just talking about like kids wanting to become full-time YouTubers, as opposed to, because there's different use cases. There could be businesses, for example, who want to use YouTube to reach certain customers or whatever. But just talking like a kid who wants to be a full-time sort of personality-based YouTuber. I think the difficulty of that is sort of a little bit less than kind of becoming like a good athlete. Like if you think about YouTube as like it's a very competitive game, right? Just like football would be, or basketball or whatever. And so I would think about it kind of like that. The people, it might seem like there's a lot of people who are being successful on YouTube, and it's true, there are, but what you don't see is a lot of the people who tried and failed, and there's unfortunately a lot of those people out there as well. So that's not to say, so I think pretty much anyone with the right level of discipline and obsession and passion can make it work, but I think sometimes people underestimate like how tricky it can be.
But with the same analogy, like if I could see in my given sport that people that do this particular thing are doing surprisingly well with this particular score, whatever it is. Sorry to stretch it that far. That sounds helpful, and that's basically what this is doing.
For sure. Well, it'd be like if you're at basketball, for example, like a lot of the pro players all have a pretty similar technique for like taking 3-point shots or whatever. There's certain techniques that have sort of prevailed across basketball in general because those have been seen to work. And I guess if we were to really stretch this analogy, Velio is like trying to help you find like what those specific techniques or tactics are a lot quicker, so that you can apply them and hopefully get better results.
Okay. So let's get into numbers. You're 2 months in. What have those 2 months looked like?
So 2 months in, we've got over 1,000 paying users. We've kind of got two plans. So there's a $1 trial And then after that, they switch over to $35 per month. So about 1,000 paying users. That's brought in around about 25 grand at this point.
For a brand new SaaS product in this kind of market, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
How did you do that?
So a lot of that was, fortunately I have a bit of experience in YouTube, so I tried to leverage YouTube organic as much as I could. Something that was interesting I found, at least for a lot of the products in my space, I actually got offered to be like take a head of growth position at some of the companies that were doing really well in my space. And because of that, I got to see, or got a deeper understanding of some of the numbers they were doing and where they were getting their traffic from. And what I saw was that paid ads, at least for the SaaS products I was seeing, are becoming less and less effective and a lot harder to sort of grow through. And what was working is people are trusting influencers' recommendations about things. So I thought, well, I have an audience already. I also, because I have an audience, it's a lot easier for me to get in contact with other influencers who are in my space, because they don't really see me as a brand anymore. They see me as like a creator who's in their space who also has a product. And so we just tried to go hard on that essentially, and we posted 2.5, I say half because one of the videos kind of mentioned it, but wasn't actually about it. So 2.5 videos, and that's what led to the 1,000 customers. Okay,
that's nuts. There's a really interesting kind of trust that people have for the products from a creator that they like. Like look at Linus Tech Tips and things like that. The equivalent products being marketed on that channel would not perform as well as his own products and their own products. Do you think some of that is happening here?
I think so. Something interesting that we saw actually, because we launched, on the launch video, it was like a live launch. So you could watch it live essentially when it first came out through what they call YouTube Premiere. And what we found was that, so during that launch video, I mentioned the product for the first time about halfway through the video. And then the other half of the video is sort of demoing the product, and then the end of the video is like a call to action. And what we actually saw was that in the beginning, more people signed up at that first mention than at the end. So a lot of people signed up for the product before even seeing what it was, just because of their, I guess, trust in the content I built out. Because on that channel, I put out 100 videos in the past, right? So they've seen all those videos, maybe they relate to or got value from that advice, and they're like, well, if this guy's creating a product, it's probably good, so I'm gonna buy it. I don't think that's like a long-term strategy necessarily, in the sense that you're gonna hit a ceiling of like people who trust you that much, but it was nice to see, a couple of hundred users come in like the first week.
Yeah, like you could say it's the trust they have for you, or it could be this pent-up demand for I will take any solution to this problem and I just will throw money at it because I really need a solution. Like how much of that do you think is happening?
For those users specifically, probably not many of them, because at that point I hadn't even specified exactly what it was. I just sort of talked to their pain points of like, hey, you're not getting views. So it could have just been the pent-up demand. So, but I guess it's guesswork from there.
I think it would be a lot more than you expect though, because Marcus's entire channel is about how to grow your YouTube channel, and he's especially focusing on people that are like to get their first 1,000 subscribers. So most of the audience would be in that pain point, trying to get those first 1,000 subscribers, and then they've seen you mention other like things to do, other tools before. So the moment you mention it, they just check it out because they're kind of trying to solve that problem.
Probably, yeah, that makes sense.
I love the community of creators that UTS Startups has.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like Jade on here, and some really cool people.
But like really good creators, really good audiences, really good techniques, and then like tools like this that can then kind of develop as a community as well. And it's a nice, accessible kind of entrepreneurship as well, because like the prerequisites are not ridiculous. You don't need a huge amount of money and everything else to get into things. So it's just nice to see.
That's what I love about it. I think is that's one of the things that I'm really passionate about with YouTube, is that I think most of the things that have happened in my life, I definitely can't take credit. Like, I'm definitely not a self-made man in the sense that you're standing on the shoulders of like a lot of other people, including yourself, who've given some like amazing advice and epiphany moments. But I think YouTube's one of those things where it's like, as long as you've got a smartphone and the ability to learn and be disciplined, like you can be successful. And there are a lot of people who you'll see who literally just use smartphones now. Like smartphone cameras, front-facing cameras are awesome. So it's one of those things, like you said, where it's like, you don't need money, you don't need funding, you don't need anything. As long as you've got a smartphone, you can start a YouTube channel And from there, it's just a game of skill and persistence, which is pretty cool because I think a lot of startups maybe do obviously require a huge amount of skill and persistence, but also require a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. And the right tools, obviously, to make it happen. So looking forward, what are you both expecting this to become?
I guess given the current trajectory, we'd like to become like the SEMrush for YouTube creators, like basically an analytics tool that you just go to if you're a creator, and you just bank on this tool to kind of give you the ideas, help you manage them, and just kind of help that part of your creator journey so you can focus more on creating content. I think there's a lot of value around that because there hasn't been a good tool for specifically that. I hope we become that, yeah.
Okay. Well, on your way, and I think there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this excited about what it's becoming. How can people get involved, either in supporting the company or getting involved or using it themselves?
Yeah, sure. The easiest way would probably be to go to velio.co, that's velio.co. The tool's there, obviously, but then also the contact address is there, so if there's if you wanted to reach out or talk about cool things or whatever it is, like most of those emails get forwarded to me, so yeah.
But yeah, like imagine the chance of being involved in SEMrush or any other kind of giant kind of platforms that are enabling people on these platforms in the third month of their operation. Like that sounds pretty good, and I'm sure there's people watching that are going to be reaching out, trying to get involved as well. But we're going to get into the most interesting part of this now, because we're going to turn off the cameras, go to private Q&A, or get out the more juicy parts. I'll say for anyone watching at home, I'm sorry, but join us every Friday at 3:30 at UTS Startups Central for the next one. And for now, join me in thanking Marcus and Bobby from Velio.